Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable. Presented by Bank of America, the Leadership Series, Transforming India, in association with CNBC-TV18.
Hello and welcome to the Leadership Series, Transforming India, to kickstart a journey of robust ideas from our think tank. This is presented by Bank of America in association with CNBC-TV18. Let me welcome on the show KV Kamath and Kaku Nakhate. Now, thank you so much for joining us on CNBC-TV18. Now, Mr. Kamath, first, India embarks on this great journey of Amrit Kaal, a time of growth for India. What are the growth propellers in your view?
Key propeller is all the things that have yet to be done in India, and that provides you the momentum. And I start by looking out at infrastructure needs of this country and what needs to be done. That's, to me, a 20-25 year journey. Then you look at our cities, our towns, what we call urban rejuvenation or city level or town level rejuvenation, down to the village level. That it's another, again, 15-20 year journey. Yes. Then you go into every area of activity in this country. There's a long runway. The longest runway is to make sure that the person at the bottom of the pyramid is no longer there. He is not at the bottom of the pyramid. He has gone up the pyramid. Again, it takes time. And so I am excited that there is this long runway over which we can keep growing at pace.
That's right, a long runway and a long runway for growth. Kaku Nakhate, you've been looking at the entire Indian business and economics for so long. What do you think is the untapped potential of India on the whole, which we haven't yet really translated into reality and could really grow going forward?
So I would say that, as Mr. Kamath, our guru, I would say, in many ways said, that India, there's lots of untapped potential left. Just if you see in our 9 years, if you see electricity, LPG and toilets, we've come between 95 to 100%. Affordable housing has gone up like to 30 million, but that's lots to do. And the per capita income is somewhere roughly around $2,200. The untapped potential can go up significantly at $4,000 if you see all the other emerging markets. So I think what we are doing well is we are gearing well for the Amrit Kaal, and all the efforts from the policy makers, including the private coming together, I think is pulling together that we are changing both the digital as well as the physical infrastructure. And that potential is kind of unknown, and it's going to unleash a lot more things.
Mr. Kamath, when we talk about one idea for change, what would be your idea that, if untapped, currently can give and unleash a lot of potential?
It is basically leveraging the capability of our people that is yet not fully done. There is no country in the world which has this mass of people who can be very productively used to grow our country, grow their own lives as it were, and do good. And then when you look deeper, it is those jobs that all the global companies have done in terms of moving their global capability centers to India. Yes. And this is, to me, a significant pointer as to what will or what could happen in the future. Yes. Because we are now getting to be the providers of talent at significantly lower cost, and what these companies can get in their own domains, and quality talent. So to me, all these become the drivers of this India going forward, and in that people become the key force, and leveraging that will be the single idea that I would energy of the people, the capability of the people.
So harnessing our own talent, people talent. But just a quick question on that, given the technological thrust and how things are changing so quickly, do you think skilling our own people, educating in the right way, and also a lot of day-to-day work getting automated, is that going to be a challenge?
Yeah, I think there are several layers in that question. I think skilling them, getting them right is a challenge, but today given the modes of skilling available, I don't think that's going to be an unsurmountable challenge. And several Indian companies have shown that you can take talent which is not appropriately skilled and skill them.
Right.
Second part of the question, the second layer, will AI impact? See, my way of looking at it is that AI could impact certain activities, but an engine like India with an Amrit Kaal horizon as it were, and growing at the speed that I'm sure we'll talk about what rate we will grow at, I think is going to throw up so many other opportunities that what we may lose in terms of employment due to AI is going to be easily compensated.
All right, so something will offset something, and we have to see that transitionary phase. But Kaku, looking at the overall banking sector, banking sector has created maximum number of leaders, business leaders in the country. They have really propelled the economic growth. How do you see the entire sector fueling the growth, and what more is needed in the Amrit Kaal?
I think banking sector, as always, is actually at the core of fueling growth, because credit needs to be made available. And together with fintech, India has really got a good fintech industry emerging in a very big way, actually. And that combined force is going to really help inclusion. And the two things that are really going to be game changers if we do it correct, just like UPI, the account aggregator, which allows all financial thing at the fingertip, if I may say, is going to really make people lot more savvier in taking decisions and fueling other economic and financial instruments, if I may say. And the 63 million only MSMEs have been tapped today. And that again is a big opportunity for all of us.
So, Kaku, absolutely, the digital highways that have been created is unique to India and has been really a game changer. And we'll talk a larger digital thrust in a bit. But Mr. Kamath, financial services, what is it that you foresee right now? How it's going to really, get involved in this growth journey? And as Kaku was mentioning, that Open is going to probably reach the underserved areas. Is that a challenge for the banking and the financial services space?
Yeah, I would actually look at it as an opportunity, not just for banks, but for other players in the system. However, we need to understand what's actually happening in a systemic context at this point in time. In India, one key development is, apart from technology, which we'll talk about, is the rise of long-term savings through retirement and other products, whether it's pensions or whether it is insurance or these. And they provide a sort of missing link to financing in India, that is through the capital market, longer dated instruments. So that has started happening. So that is, I think, extremely good news. Again, the second thing that is happening is a shift in savers' preferences to instruments where he probably now has a better understanding, like equity, savings and things like that, and instruments through which he can actually do those savings through SIPs and other things. And to add to that, basically he can do it today sitting wherever he is with the device in his pocket. He doesn't need to go to an agent, he doesn't need to go. So this change has come at great pace. May not necessarily be banking and related entities. They will of course have a key role to play, but it will be the sum total of the financial services system which will contribute to the growth going forward.
That's right, and in fact demonetization and COVID, one after the other, has had a stickiness to the online as well as also investment theme in the country. So Kaku, talking about the digital thrust, it's not just financial services where we have grown in leaps and bounds, but you have an insight on so many other sectors from your banking operations in your products and services that you offer. How has the digital, adoption been, thrust been, and what lies ahead in your view?
The digital adoption is pretty quick. First, there was a lot of resistance. There was resistance of sharing data, including us as banks, and of course the privacy rules, how do you really get about it, etc. But actually data is going to be, very important, or as we remember, data is the new oil in many ways. So you do need a lot of data, and I think many of our products are actually outcome of data. And I think also the sustainability factors, etc., is also going to move towards data. But I do agree with what Mr. Kamath said. As a country, we don't have enough long-term financing. And that's something we should really think of, how to really go and get more and more of it to achieve our plans and ambitions.
So this is one subject you have spoken at length about, and trust me, for the last many decades we have been talking about the depth in our banks to really fuel the capital that is required for infrastructure growth. But we've also seen that InvITs and REITs have in some way taken off the burden from the bank financing, because it's easier to roll it out, get the financiers in, and then the developers can go on developing infrastructure. In your view, at what point are we, and what more should be done?
We are at just the start of the whole cycle. In fact, I think the regulator is also trying to see how the whole structure for InvIT or a REIT could be made even more elegant, as it were. Even as we talk, they are working on this. And similarly, the funding for these coming from the long-term savers, where it is long-dated, is also happening. And we will see growth in long-term savings at a rapid rate. So I'm sure. Also, very interestingly, there are lay savers who are now looking at investing directly into a REIT or an InvIT. And I was pleasantly delighted, I would say, to hear that one of the large government REITs, I think that was NHAI, was planning to have a REIT where they would pay a monthly interest directly into the saver's account. So you have disintermediation happening at various ways in terms of what we were otherwise doing. And so to me, that is probably the most elegant way of entering capital funding or financing through the capital market for industry.
All right, great ideas there, but let me quickly slip into a short breather and come back with this riveting discussion on the areas where India's growth story can be propelled. Be back in a minute.
Presented by Bank of America, the Leadership Series, Transforming India, in association with CNBC-TV18. Presented by Bank of America, the Leadership Series, Transforming India, in association with CNBC-TV18.
Welcome back. You are watching the Leadership Series, Transforming India, and we have with us Kamath and Kaku Nakhate. Kaku, you have in the past spoken a lot about Gift City and the kind of probably the opportunities that it can present for India. What do you foresee on that?
I think we have come in at a time or set up an international financial center. We don't have any baggage, so we have a chance to set it up much more smarter in many ways and probably serve the global needs, not just look at India. And if India has to grow anyway, the money has to come into India to fuel, and Gift City could, use this to offer global products to a lot of global systems. So the couple of things that we have worked upon is longevity finance. As the world is getting older, it's got the need for longer tenure products so that after retirement you have a great income to sustain a livelihood and be able to live the same life. India can be one of the centers like San Francisco and Singapore to really do that, and Gift City is ideally placed to take advantage of that.
Brilliant points on Gift City and the business opportunities that are really developing over there. Mr. Kamath, you have a view on that, and also the new age companies, that has been another big game changer.
Yeah, I think I completely in sync with what Kaku said about what Gift City could do. And I think it's been set up very well, and there's I think very appropriate leadership structure put in place. So I have no doubts that it will contribute to this growth momentum that we are talking of. Coming on to the new age and the new city drive that is happening in India, My belief is that looking at other anecdotal evidence where rapid digitization has happened in an economy more or less number of people, population-wise, our size. So to me, we will have, at least the way I look at it, a pleasant surprise when we look at growth in the next 5 years as we tread on to Amrit Kaal.
So what is the kind of GDP growth that you would expect? And I would just put a caveat over there, Mr. Kamath, that globally we are not being able to position at a higher rating, sovereign rating, because of our fiscal deficit. So all that included, what is your economic view?
See, we talked about several drivers of growth. I talked about the key infrastructure thing, the people issues. And Kaku supplemented with several thoughts. Then comes the digital thing. There's one more layer which is important to look at growth, which again I don't think has been factored into most numbers. That is aspiration. As the economy moves from, as Kaku said, 2,200 or thereabouts, to let us say 4,000 over the next 6-7 years, your aspirations are not going to double. Historically, if you look at again anecdotal evidence and empirical evidence, aspirations grow at probably 4x if your number has doubled, at least through this, and at some point then it will tail off.
Yes.
But we are pretty distant from that tailing off point.
Yes.
So if I then take a sum total view of this, I think the current numbers that we are talking of 7.5%, and then people say it will go down. I don't think there is any sign of it. We'll see any sign of it going down. There will be movements, which will happen in the economy, but it will be an upward trend based on, I would think, the base of around 7%. Then on that you add the cherry, which is basically going to be a digital side. I don't want to put a number, 10%, 15%, 20%. So we are looking at an economy which is going to be very near 10%. And that is going to make all the difference that India needs in terms of what we do today. So to me, I continue to be bullish that our destiny is near double-digit growth.
And by when are you expecting that?
I think as we watch it, it is going to trend to that.
Yes.
If we have 7% as the base, I don't think it will drop. And you add digital to that. So the next turn, the next 5 years, as we see growth stepping into the Amrit Kaal, I think we will see that happen. The rating companies, this I think is something that the government is now taken on as probably challenge number one. Because as I say it, there is a lot of scope to negotiate, to engage and negotiate with the rating agencies on these numbers. Because you have a country with no history of default. You have a country which is actually in whichever context you look at, well managed in an economic sense, in a monetary policy context or otherwise. All the boxes that are required to be ticked, we tick. And yet we are burdened with just about an investment grade.
Yes.
It's just not on.
Yes.
So we need to engage better. So what are the elements of engagement? I would think the basic element of engagement is that old economic theory is no more valid. It has become a relic of the past. The connection between deficits, interest rates and inflation, I think is now undergoing a change. Not that we have to throw everything out of old lessons out of the window, but I think there's need to take a hard look. And then we will have to sit and engage with the rating agencies on that basis. Now, these are the elements. Now tell us where and what you are doing wrong. So it is possible to engage and communicate and get things done to your advantage. I'm sure the government is doing that.
No, government has identified
this as a key thing. But having said that, beyond a point we should not worry about it, because we are not a borrower. The government is not a borrower. The government doesn't go out and borrow in the global markets. There are corporates who are borrowers, and corporates will find a way to figure this out. But at this point, to me, it is more a question of national pride than merely dependence. So while we will, I'm sure, pay attention to this, I would not lose sleep on what the rating agencies
Arguments have become and begun on this one, and government is targeting this anomaly as well. So let's see where it goes. But Kaku, to end this discussion, let's talk about sustainability. And India also embarked on ESG Many top companies have taken a lead on their ESG targets, on net zero targets. What is Bank of America doing when it comes to sustainability?
As you know, CEO Brian Moynihan is very focused on sustainability ever since 2013. So we actually have been working very closely with different corporates. Of course, we do lend sustainability finance, do loans, but over and above that, as I talked to you, we look at supply chain financing, we look at basically advisory, and of course capital markets has been key. As you know, we worked very closely with LIC to bring out the ESG angle in the IPO. So I think with many of these new age IPOs also, we do want to play a role to bring out, because it is definitely touching inclusion, maybe on the e-commerce companies, on many other companies. So I think India is well placed. I'm actually amazed at the speed at which we are really focused on getting our ESG targets when we were not even thinking about it since 2020.
All right, so lots happening on the sustainability ESG front. Mr. Kamath, final words. You know, the whole thrust towards ESG is also to do with diversity. And under your leadership, ICICI Bank had created so many women leaders at that time. So it was a front runner in many ways before even ESG thrust came in. How do you see this going forward?
ESG, I would look at it not that somebody has put it out there and we have to meet targets. I think we need to meet certain targets if we have to breathe and live in this country. So that becomes imperative. Second, I think we have an opportunity because we were late to the party, for example, in terms of solar. Just one, and now the costs have come down to a level where solar is probably more attractive than fossil. Of course, you have to make sure it is 24/7 and storage and those things. And of course, people are working on other means. So to me, being late to the party has helped us, and we will do ESG for our own good because we need to do it. Yes. And then by that, we will contribute to the global thing. As far as the gender thing is concerned, the way I look at it is if every organization is truly neutral in the way it approaches hiring, offering roles and promotions, gender neutrality happens. I don't like to use the word balance. If you are gender neutral, then the universe is in balance. It is 50-50.
Yes, and ESG should be a way of doing business.
Indeed.
And not a target.
We have no other chance. We have no other alternative.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Kamath. Many takeaways from the ideas that you shared which can really propel India's growth. And thank you so much, Kaku Nakhate, about your insights on various aspects of our economy. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining. And thanks to all our viewers for tuning in.
Presented by Bank of America, the Leadership Series, Transforming India, in association with CNBC-TV18.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.